In the last class, you were discussing about the lower limb sonographic examination, and today we'll continue that lecture. So here I'm going to share some of the slides and here, in the last class you discussed about the most important and most common vessels pathologically, the anatomy. And here we'll discuss about um, sonographic examination techniques. So the sonographic examination of the lower limb is started from the inguinal crease while exposing the entire leg in a private room, giving priority to the privacy of the patient. So the leg under examination should be thoroughly exposed while having no handling cloths or anything else. So this way you will start the examination from the inguinal crease. Okay. For this examination technique, the patient should be supine and the leg should be slightly externally rotated to for the axis of the medial aspect of the thigh. So this is the medial aspect of the thigh. And here you can see this is the inguinal crease, and we will start our examination from this region. So here you can see, and this is the umbilicus, and the bifurcation of the abdominal aorta takes place over here. Then you can see, then it moves towards the inguinal region like this, and the other one like this. So while pressing the inguinal ligament, it will become common femoral artery, and with the adjacent common femoral vein. So the common femoral artery will soon bifurcate into femoral artery and profunda femoral artery. The profunda femoral artery will have multiple branches supplying to the local muscles and other organs and systems. But the femoral artery is moving along the middle aspect of the thigh and enter the adductor canal, and then moving on posterior part of the knee, and here it become the popliteal artery. With its counterpart vein, but here the same way, the femoral vein has two tributaries. One is femoral vein, which is accompanied with the femoral artery, and the other one is profunda femoral vein, which is draining the local area, for example, muscles and other organ systems, and the thigh. Similarly, The venous system is composed of two systems, superficial venous system and deep venous system. So superficial venous system having great saphenous vein and small saphenous vein. So the great saphenous vein is combining with the femoral vein. क्या हाँ तो साथ वाली भी जाएगी. So the great saphenous vein is joining the femoral vein, and here this way they are making here at the inguinal crease the saphenofemoral junction. So this is the joining of the common sorry, the great saphenous vein and the common femoral vein. So here you can see the great saphenous vein is joining the common femoral vein from the medial side. So if just for example we are taking we are placing our transducer in short axis view, then we will have an image like this. There will be वो जीआर से रिक्वेस्ट है कि आपको मैंने इसलिए को होस्ट बनाया हुआ था कि जो स्टूडेंट्स बार बार तंग कर रही है थ्रू वेटिंग रूम आ रही है उनको आप एडमिट करते जाए, अगर आपकी क्लास की अगर नहीं है तो रिजेक्ट करते जाए, ताकि इधर जो है मेरी स्क्रीन पे बार बार यही चीज़ें आ रही है. Okay, so if we we are we are taking access of the femoral artery and veins at the vascular system at the inguinal crease, and we are placing our transducer in short axis view like this. So we will have common femoral vein at the center. Laterally, there will be the bifurcation of common femoral artery into profunda femoral artery and femoral artery. So this is femoral artery and this is profunda femoral artery. Okay, and the great saphenous vein is joining the common femoral vein. This is the common femoral vein. Okay, this is joined by the great saphenous vein from the medial side. So this is the exact appearance of these vessels at the inguinal crease. So care must be taken. You know, for example, this is your screen, okay, and on the left hand side of the screen, if the artery lies on the left hand of the screen and great saphenous vein lies on the right hand of the screen, so it's mean if you are using the international protocol of transducer placement or transducer grip, then that leg will be right one, okay. And if you are performing examination of the left leg, then this orientation will be like this. Just for example, at the center again there will be common femoral vein and the lateral side. Now this is the lateral side, okay. So on the lateral side there will be common femoral artery, bifurcation of the common femoral artery into femoral artery and profunda femoral artery, okay. And the great saphenous vein will join the common femoral vein from the right side again. So both the images are totally replica of one another. Here you can see the great saphenous vein is on the left hand side of the screen, and here in case of a right leg, the great saphenous vein is joining the common femoral vein from the right hand side of the screen. This is a very important concept and orientation regarding the vasculature of the lower limb. unless there is any drastic anatomic variation, although I haven't seen any anatomic variation to such an extent that the entire location of the vein and the artery are upside down. But this is the normal anatomy of the femoral artery and vein and their relationship with each other. If you have any confusion or any question regarding it, then you can ask me anytime regarding this orientation. Right? Then we have to follow these vessels. Most importantly, we have to follow the great stiffness vein in short axis view. Just like, for example, we will move for transducer in short axis view up and down above over the great stiffness vein, and this is also termed as left pattern, left passion. And so you have to move your transducer up and down, Anna, and the great stiffness vein to see for its, look for its internal branches or external branches, any perforators. So in the last class we have discussed about the perforating venous system, because in the lower limb there is three venous systems: deep venous system, superficial venous system, and perforating venous system. So the perforating venous system is communicating the superficial venous system with the deep venous system. And there are a lot of perforators, and these groups of perforators are termed as proximal thigh group of perforators, distal thigh group of perforators, proximal leg group of perforators, and distal leg group of perforators. And in other words, you can also term these perforator as Hunterian, Boyd, Dodd, and Crockett. But this is too tough terminology, and it remains a bit difficult for even the vascular surgeons and doctor related to vascular treatment. So that's why we have to use such a terminology that could be understood by even the patient as well. So that's why we have to use this type of terminology for the group of perforators. All perforators near to the groin region are termed as proximal thigh group of perforators, and those perforators which are situated at the distal thigh, so these are termed as distal thigh group of perforators. And those perforators which are in the proximal leg, so you can term them the proximal leg group of perforators and distal leg group of perforators. But the main function of the perforator is to bring blood from the superficial venous system to deep venous system to reduce hydrostatic pressure in the superficial venous system, because the deep venous system is guarded by strong muscles. That's why naturally the deep venous system could not be dilated very easily, and they will be prevented by the muscles of the thigh and the leg from abnormal dilatation or varicosity. But unlike the deep venous system, the superficial venous system is not tightly bounded in muscles, and they are covered by superficial fascia and the subcutaneous fats and the skin, and they can very easily dilate abnormally, which is called varicosity. That's why you can see varicosity or abnormal tortuosity and dilatation of the veins most commonly occur in the superficial venous system, but sometimes they can also involve the intramuscular veins as well uh, due to chronic venous insufficiency. So, in the last class, we have already discussed about the chronic venous insufficiency to some extent, but you should know about the uh, the number of valves, the the nature of valves, and the venous system of the lower limb. All the veins of the lower limb are guarded by bicuspid valve. They are preventing backward flow of blood towards the leg, and they are only permitting blood to move from the distal part of the body to towards the heart. So, by any means, if these veins are dilated too much, just for example, I'm going to show you to draw a schematic diagram for the chronic venous insufficiency. Just imagine here you can see this is a vein, and this is guarded by a bicuspid valve, and the cusps of the valve are directed towards the direction of the blood flow. So here, this is the direction of the blood flow. Now, this valve is preventing blood to move backward, but this permits blood to move forward. Okay, but due to the abnormal dilatation of this vein, if, for example, this vein is dilated to such an extent, then the edges of the cusps of the valve will not reach to each other. And now the cusps are far apart from each other. And that's why this vein will now be incompetent, and the cusp of the valve will move in both the direction, and now the blood will move forward as well as backward. And due to this dilatation of the vein and accumulation of blood peripherally in the venous system that can persistently dilate the veins, that can lead to thrombus formation and so many other diseases, edema, and later on perforator can also be incompetent, and the blood can move from deep to superficial venous system. That will lead to edema, and the excessive edema at the region of the perforator can cause ulceration of the subcutaneous tissues, and later on that wound will open, and you can say venous ulceration. This is actually the chronic venous insufficiency that can be presented in different grades of severity, ranging from edema to venous ulceration. Okay, so this is at most important to know